going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of your favorite podcast that if we were having a preference for parties,
you'd have absolutely
it
none.
would be none. And that's no party preference. My name's Josh, and I'm here today with good buddy Adam.
Yes, greetings.
And I'm trying to, I extended out the intro a little longer so I could help prevent myself from cursing during the first 90 seconds or whatever for YouTube.
All right. I think also we need to do something else while we're on the subject about improving our YouTube ship.
And what might that be?
Adding timelines for things, bookmarks.
Bookmarks, yeah.
So every time we talk about a subject, you need to point out to me so we can start putting in the timestamps.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Not really. You just, as soon as you start a new topic, just fucking point it out.
No.
I'll make a note of it, and then we can just add it in the description so that
All
people know.
All right.
Because I feel like we're hindering ourselves with that shit.
That's true. So the intro is from, it's the first 90 seconds, right? You can't cuss?
Yes.
Okay, so we're past that. We've hit past a minute 30, so now I can cuss.
Yeah, so as soon as you start intro, like the intro of the program, whatever the subject is.
1 minute to 2 minutes is the intro, or 0 to 2 minutes is the intro. All right, but today we're going to talk about digital slavery. We're also going to talk about them saying the quiet part out loud, which I am absolutely shocked that they actually fucking admitted to this recently. So I was watching CNBC. Now, I watch CNBC. I don't know why. I've been watching CNBC since I was like 9. And I feel like it was because I always had to get up like super early in the morning. And a lot of times cartoons didn't usually start until like 6:30 or 7 sometimes. And I would be up at like 5:30 to like go to school when I was a kid. So the only thing that was on was news bullshit like that. But that was the only like real live news. Everything else was like a pre-recorded thing or was from the day before or whatever at that time. But CNBC, because the stock market opens at 9 a.m., which is 6 a.m. our time in the West Coast. So they'd have the pre-show, like it's like the WWE. It's like the pre-show for the fucking opening of the stock market. They'd have it from like our time, it'd be like 4 a.m. to like 6 a.m. And they talk about all the shit. And obviously, I mean, it was really cool to watch during, and quite frankly, the reason, because I watch CNBC in the morning before I go to school every day, I continue that habit into, or I'd watch it until cartoons came on, and then I'd watch cartoons. But then even when I went into junior high and like high school, I would still watch CNBC first thing in the morning when I get up. I still fucking do that now. But one of the things that I find interesting was that's the reason why I even fucking saw 9/11 happen, was because I was watching CNBC and it was all live, and that's how. Anyways, so I was watching CNBC the other day. I was trying to watch it because I wanted to see, and again, it's not because I'm like invested in the stock market. Personally, I think the stock market is a straight up fucking scam unless you're a goddamn billionaire. But there's no like small time game in the system. Yeah, if you put in small money, you'll make small money. You have to put in like big money to make big money in the stock market. And also it's rigged. It's a fucking scam. It's like fucking, the NFL now or whatever. It's like sports betting. Where they can control the outcomes by the referees or whatever, by the thing, it's like that same thing to me.
Yeah, it's like having a 401k, like who gives a shit? It's like all the shit that's just happened.
Yeah.
With with
tariffs and everything.
Plummeted the stock market. I mean, for people that have 401ks, it would be like,
you're fucked.
Fuck my life.
Yeah, now you can't retire.
Yeah,
now you got to work an extra 10 years.
Yeah.
So for me, I just enjoy that. I like watching it. I like hearing people talk about the economy and stuff, and these assholes that think they're experts, and like it's fucking hilarious. But anyways, I've been watching these guys. It's called Squawk Box, is the pre-show, and then Squawk on the Street is like the main show when it starts, right? So I was watching Squawk Box on my way home from work. I was listening to it because I was like, damn, man, you can't live stream CNBC on anything. I was like, fuck, man, I thought like Peacock would have it, with everything on streaming. No. That's its own separate service that you gotta pay for to get CNBC like live or whatever.
CNBC live?
Yeah, to get like the streaming of it, and then you get all the, it's like Netflix, but it's CNBC, so you only get CNBC content, but you get the live streams of like the stock market shit and all that stuff. So I was listening to it on my way home the other morning on Thursday. It was Thursday morning, and they had the Treasury Secretary on, Scott Bessent. And I was like, I wonder what they're going to ask this fucking guy. So I've been watching these dudes. This one dude, his name's Carlos Quintanilla. He's been on literally for 20 plus years on that show. And there's a couple other guys. And then they have fucking Jim Cramer on now because
I love that guy.
Dude,
I mean, he's a jackass.
He is a jackass and a half, but he's fucking hilarious.
He's fucking hilarious, dude. Like his fucking segment where like he's telling people what to buy. And he's like, buy. Like all those sound bites, dude. I fucking love it, dude.
They're hilarious. And when he's on this show, man, he goes on these tangents and starts rambling about just utter nonsense. And the other dudes look at him and go like, what the fuck is happening right now? And no one has the balls to stop him. That's what's funny as shit. He just keeps going. I'm like, this dude must have dick pics of some executive or some shit because there's no way that he would be allowed to continue to do this every fucking day.
Dude, well, I mean, back in the day, Jon Stewart critiqued him because he recommended stocks that were basically like, he was telling people to throw. I mean, it wasn't upfront, but he was conning people to buy these stocks that weren't going to go anywhere, and people lost a lot of fucking money because of his financial advice.
Yeah, there's this guy on Twitter called Inverse Kramer, and it's an upside down picture of Jim Cramer.
Yeah,
and because Jim Cramer is always wrong. Like, he's never right.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally, if he says to buy a stock, you should sell it. And every time he talks about something, it tanks. And it's fucking hilarious. So, like, this dude posts shit all the time, and it's pretty funny. But anyways, so they have this Treasury Secretary on, and they're asking him questions about, obviously, hey, like, yeah, we got all these tariffs and stuff, but what is the point of all this? And so he basically goes on, and I'm summing it up, but he basically says, we want to bring manufacturing back to the United States, right? Okay, cool. So they ask him, well, and it's going to create all these jobs and all this stuff because Ford's going to have to come build their cars here now, and they're going to have to build all these new plants. And so the one guy asked him, he says, okay, well, isn't that going to make the cost of the car go up? Oh, no, absolutely not. And he's like, well, okay, if they're manufacturing stuff in Mexico and they're paying people $1 an hour, or they're manufacturing it in China and they're like iPhones and they're paying them, 18 cents a day. If you've got to manufacture that stuff here, you have to pay workers. Like the United Auto Workers is the largest union, I think, on the planet, and one of the most powerful unions on the planet. And those people, they start out making like $75 or $80 an hour. Like that's what, if you work in the auto plant, like you're making that money. And they have very, very good benefits and very, very good pay. So he's like, well, if you're going to have to hire, because they're claiming, it's going to create 5 million new jobs, them bringing iPhones and then bringing, cars over here. And so he's like, okay, well, if you're going to create 5 million jobs that are making all this money, the money's got to come from somewhere. So if these tariffs are going to increase, which they're talking about, the tariffs are going to increase the cost of new cars by about $12,000. And cars are already fucking expensive as it is. So let's say you get rid of that. Okay, you can go back to the car being what it costs now. But then if you have to hire all these other people, they're like, isn't that car going to go up like $40,000 or whatever to offset the cost of having to pay all these workers? And same thing with phones. Won't the phone prices triple? They're already $1,200 now. A phone's going to be $3,800 by the time, when they're paying all these people. Phones are $1,200 now when they're paying people 18 cents a day to make these fucking things. So just imagine if they have to pay somebody $25 an hour to make these things. That's what, like a 25,000% increase over what you're having to pay somebody. So he basically said, well, that's what we're going to have robots and AI for. And then they were like, well, wait a minute. What, did you just say that they're going to have robots and AI build these things? And he's like, yeah, Ford will have robots that build these things. It won't cost the consumer any more money. The prices of cars will stay the same. And they're like, well, wait a minute. You just said it's going to create 5 million jobs. If you're going to give all the jobs to robots, how does that make sense? And they're like, he says, well, this is the thing. The government, we're going to put in this program. It's going to be this new robotics and AI program. It's going to create 5 million jobs. And the first 5 million people that sign up, we're going to give them free training and you'll be guaranteed a job in the robotics industry. And then he's like, well, wait a minute. If you're going to hire 5 million people, like, isn't that the point of robots is so that you have, because you could have like hire one human for like every 100 robots that you have building shit just to do maintenance on them. And then the guy's like, oh yeah, we're going to do all this maintenance and it's going to be one person per robot. And I'm like, And he like looked at him and he's like, the fuck? Like, this doesn't even make any sense. And he's right, it doesn't make any sense. But they basically said the thing, the quiet part out loud. All these people that voted for Trump that wanted all this horse shit, they're all assholes that work in factories, they work in warehouses, they work in these low, you know, I don't want to call them low skill type jobs, but like it's a job that you could have a robot do now. And China has robots that do this stuff. Elon's making fucking robots that do this shit. So obviously that was going to be the key, was if you are going to get stuff made here, they can't afford to pay people, so they're going to build robots to do it. And then if you have 10,000 or 1,000 robots working at, let's say you have 1,000 robots working at the Ford auto plant making cars, well, you really only got to hire 100 people to do the maintenance on those robots. And you could probably get away with even less than that. And I'm sure that's what it'll eventually come down to. But what's crazy is, like we'd been talking about before, is the simple fact that the party that is so against universal basic income or any kind of welfare or anything like that, they are actively removing jobs from the economy and placing them with robots. And it's like, if you want to do that, that's cool. But the problem is, they're just going to keep prices the same or slowly keep increasing them. And it's not like it's going to save us all any money. And then we're going to hit this point where nobody's working, and who's going to have money to buy this shit? If nobody's got money to buy this shit, then what the fuck's the point?
I think it kind of I think personally it's like the weird dystopian future we're heading towards, where now you're forcing people to basically pursue creative endeavors, like all the influencer shit that people are doing. I think now it's kind of you're going to be thrusted into that, because there won't be factory jobs and things you're talking about, because it'll be all replaced by robotics, which is why, like in China, where you see those farms of people having multiple cameras set up, to basically be on stream 24/7 to make money or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to be us.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, is eventually that, I mean, I feel like we're already oversaturated on the influencer market right now. It's going to get even fucking worse. How many hillbilly Jim Bobs are we going to fucking see shooting fucking propane tanks in their fucking backyards and putting it on fucking social media? Eventually, we're going to get tired of that. Eventually, there's going to be too many assholes four-wheeling with their ATVs and fucking jumping off stuff and doing that. Eventually, there's just be too many, and then it's going to be no one's going to make money. It'll be the same problem again eventually. But I was just shocked that they finally said it out loud. Oh, yeah, we're going to be just replacing workers with robots. That's how we're going to fucking make manufacturing back here in America. It's going to just be robots. And, I mean, sure, listen, that's cool and all, but really, I'm not a factory worker, so I don't give a shit. I'm not going to lose. Oh, listen, we're all going to get replaced by fucking robots and AI at some point. But I don't have to worry about that right now. I'm sure that the people that do have to worry about this, they're looking at the next couple years this fucking happening. And
but they elected for that.
Exactly. And that's what's funny, is it's the fucking social Darwinism of oh man, excuse me. The social Darwinism of, oh yes, rabble, 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 rabble. I like what this guy's saying. Yeah, get rid of the Mexicans. Yeah, and then, oh, wait a minute. Took our jobs. Mexicans aren't taking your jobs. The robots took our jobs. So fuck those guys. I mean, you get what you pay for, and I just thought it was interesting that they said it, that they actually said it. And I don't know if this was a slip up or if this was some of that, oh, we're going to sprinkle some of this shit just to let people know. And then when you couple that, and this is the other portion of this thing that I was talking about, was you couple that, and then again, the auto workers, right? I was talking about the auto workers union, and if you want to replace them with robots, their union contracts are ironclad, and they have mechanisms in place to guarantee that their workers will not be replaced with robotics. They've been ahead of that curve for many years. The auto workers union has had that in there for probably 10 or 15 years when it comes to the robots, and that they won't be replaced, and there's only a certain amount of robots they're allowed to have. doing shit and all this stuff, right? And people think, oh, well, these union contracts and stuff, they're not gonna be able to just get rid of all this stuff just because you're in union. Well, you're wrong. And this is a side subject, but it ties perfectly in to this thing. Is that same morning on Thursday morning, or maybe it was Friday morning, the Department of Homeland Security canceled the collective bargaining agreement between it and the TSA workers. They just said, we're no longer having this. Your collective bargaining agreement is now void. We're not going for it.
So then what are they going to do at airports?
Well, now what's going to end up happening is, since their collective bargaining agreement has been terminated, now everyone that works for the TSA that's a screener or whatever is now an at-will employee, essentially, and has no union protections. Therefore, their wages aren't protected. And granted, those guys make like no fucking money. They pay them the least of all the federal services. The TSA airport guys make like the least amount of money.
Probably why they're assholes.
Yeah, it's probably why they're assholes. And they work them to death already as it is, but at least they're getting time and a half. Now, all that shit's out the window. You could pay them minimum wage. The federal minimum wage is only $7.45 an hour. So if you drop these guys from making $25 an hour or whatever they're making to do the screening, $30 an hour, you drop them down to $7.45, dude. Like, because again, if you're at an airport and depending on where you're at, I mean, you could get dumped down to that federal minimum wage, and there's no protections for you. If you make one mistake, you're fired. Like, there's none of that shit. And so people talking all this shit about, oh, union agreements are ironclad and they're legally binding. Maybe, but look what happens. This is them testing it out. This is them trying to see how far they can push it. And if a judge says, you know what, man, they can back out of this agreement at any time. And they can say, we're not going to do it anymore. And if they can delete the ability to collectively bargain and essentially have unions, I guarantee you, we look at even here in California, I guarantee you, all these liberal institutions in California, the state itself, and all their departments that have union contracts and stuff that are, we're just so pro-union. The second they get the green light that they could cancel these contracts, I guarantee you it's going to happen. And that's going to happen to everybody. And that's what's eventually how they're going to get rid of all the workers and replace them with the robots, is deleting the union contracts.
Shit, what do you think about the ramifications for the TSA losing their CBA, where, man, maybe we have another 9/11 on our hands because people aren't motivated to do their job and things just get snuck in through security?
Well,
nobody cares?
Because one of the things that they said is they're going to encourage the airlines to start doing their own. It's basically going to privatize it. And the airlines at their own gates are going to have to provide their own screening people. So if you're going to let a corporation do it, they're going to cut all of the fucking corners and do it for as cheaply as possible. And that's going to lead to, like you said, another 9/11, another this. This morning they had two commercial airliners that got too close to fucking Mar-a-Lago, and they sent F-16s to go intercept them. And so it's like, okay, you start dealing with that with, like, if you've got TSA, people are smuggling shit in, and some guy smuggles in a fucking, I don't know, an IED into an airplane, and then he detonates it over fucking Mar-a-Lago or the White House or fuck wherever, then, you know, it seems very, very fucking dangerous and very sketchy. And yeah, 9/11 was 25 years ago-ish now, but here we go again. We're just going to repeat the same cycle.
Yeah, especially with like numerous departments getting dissolved. I mean, I don't know if the FBI is going to be one of those, but if everything's getting neutered at some point, it's like, oh shit. That was part of the problem with 9/11, is because a lot of those agencies or whatever weren't sharing information. Like, everybody knew a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Not everybody knew the whole picture.
Right. That was the whole reason why they created the Department of Homeland Security, because it was supposed to take all those puzzle pieces, put them together, and let everybody interconnect and like work together.
Yeah.
And now, not that I'm in favor of more government fucking enforcement, but these are the consequences of these actions because this stuff is likely going to be slowly tapered down. And what was crazy is it really didn't get majorly reported in the news that they did this. It was on like a couple blurbs on like CNN and like Bloomberg, but there was no reporters fucking being like, "Hey everybody, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is going on?"
Didn't the UAW president endorse Donald Trump during the national convention?
He did. He came out and he spoke and everything, and the guy who was in charge, the Teamsters head, also fucking spoke. Like, and that's what's funny is they just used all these people.
Yeah, that's
and
fucking
now
betrayal.
they're like, cool, we used them to get in. Go fuck yourselves. We're getting rid of you guys. And it's funny too because they were all this pro police. Even at it wasn't the State of the Union, but the address to Congress that he did last week or the other day. Even there, they were all very pro police, and they had all these police guys there. The Republican budget slashes law enforcement funding by like almost 100%.
Damn.
They are now defunding the police themselves after they literally used them to get fucking elected. And what's funny is we go back to looking at the Utah fire department deal where all these Utah firefighters voted all Republican and were supporting all the Republican candidates. And now that they got in, they're eliminating their collective bargaining agreements. That's essentially what they're doing. And now the firefighters are all pissed off. And it's like, well, you guys voted for this shit. These guys used you and now you're pissed. Well, this is what happens. Now you're fucked. So sucks to be you, I guess. Maybe you'll think twice next time when you vote and you'll do it in a little bit more of self-preservation instead of going along with the fucking Kool-Aid that everybody's fucking drinking on. But anyways, so that kind of pretty much ends that topic. And then
shit, what's this?
Oh, it's 22 minutes, 22:30. So it was 2 minutes to 22:30 was the robots replacing people.
You said 22:30 was the what was that topic?
Well, what we're going to start right now at 22 minutes and 30 seconds is going to be the digital slavery. And so anyway, so my thought process on this was that I feel like we've entered now into like this digital realm of slavery. Part of it was brought up by video games and also by this thing that happened with Warner Brothers and like DVDs, which I'm curious to know if this is going to happen with other stuff. But essentially, when you have video games, back in the day, and I mean even now, if you purchase the physical media, you own it. They can't take it away. They can't stop you from playing that thing because you own the disc. Now that everything is all digital, if they decide like they want to ban your account from playing, let's say Call of Duty, well, they just stop you from being able to open up the game on your console because it's all digital. They control all that shit now. So if you do something they don't like or they're not happy with that, cool. They'll just turn your shit off. Same thing with Steam. If Steam doesn't like something you did, they could just turn your Steam account off, and then all the shit that you paid for that you supposedly own, you don't own anymore. Which goes back to essentially you don't own anything anymore unless you have the physical media. Warner Brothers announced, people started talking shit about how a lot of their DVDs stopped working. And one of the reasons why they stopped working is because the DVDs are essentially experiencing what they're calling like case rot, where they're essentially just going bad, where the digital code is breaking down inside on the disc. It's literally breaking down and not able to be read anymore. So I don't know if that's going to happen with all physical media. And I don't know if that's something that they knew about. In the end, they were like, fuck, who cares? Or if now it's like, oh shit, we never thought that DVDs would have been around this long to have this issue where if it's sitting in the case for a certain amount of time, it'll just start breaking down digitally and it won't work. Now, Warner Brothers is claiming they're replacing all this shit, but it's just very funny because the same thing goes for movies. Everything's digital now. So if they decide, you know what? We want you to pay for this again. We're going to take it away. And now you got to buy it again. That's kind of happened on Apple with Apple Music. Back songs that I owned that I purchased for $1.29 or 99 cents or whatever it was back, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. When Apple Music came out, a lot of those songs I no longer had in my library and owned them. I had to get an Apple Music subscription to get them back. And it's just like, oh, bitch, I paid for that shit. Oh, no, too bad. We decided that we wanted you to subscribe to this new thing, so we're going to take away all the shit that you bought. You've had it long enough. We're just going to take it back, and now you got to pay $9.99 a month to get access to it again. So that shit sucks. And same thing goes for like our bank accounts. Everything's digital now. If we're getting to the point, like you said, the dystopian future, where if you say something bad about the government because they are listening to us on their phones. Katie and I were having a conversation about shipping containers, right? Purchasing a couple of shipping containers. She didn't know, looking up on her phone, she didn't do shit. I've been looking on my phone, but she didn't do anything. We just had a conversation about it. Literally within a couple hours, she was getting emails and like ads for shipping containers. And so if they hear you and don't like something you say, yeah, they haven't really pulled the trigger on it yet, but they can just decide to turn, oh, wait, you said some of the keywords we don't like. We'll shut your bank account off for a week. You can't buy anything. You can't do anything. That'll teach you to keep your mouth shut. So these little fucking surveillance devices that we carry with us everywhere we fucking go.
That's why I think as stupid and as radical of an idea as using something like Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
This is a scenario exactly why something like this would happen, so that a government doesn't have domain over your bank account, or they shouldn't, to prevent you from eating or causing you to get in line with what's happening within a country. That digital currencies would be that freedom against that type of, I guess, tyranny.
Yeah, it's possible if the people who created it were benevolent. Because regardless of what anyone says, there is nothing that's completely 1,000% secure that someone can't get into. Whoever made it has the backdoor key to get into whatever. And it's just if they choose to allow the government to fucking get in or not.
I think as far as best solutions out there, I think Bitcoin has been proving a lot of people wrong. I know you have your own opinions about the encryption being part of can't remember if it was the CIA.
It was the NSA created they used the 256 hex that they use, that the NSA created. They used that as the encryption protocol. So like, again, I know when the NSA or the CIA makes some shit and they put it out for free, it's because they have the back door. Now, sure, there might be other protections or things that they put in place with Bitcoin. I'm not a computer programmer, so I don't know enough about it to know otherwise. But likely, if that code is in there, they've got access to it. So there's also theories now that fucking Elon Musk is that fucking guy who created fucking Bitcoin. I thought that was hilarious.
There's no way. But I'm just saying in principle.
Yeah.
Whether it is actually that thing that we're describing, whatever, I don't know. But I'm just getting at the idea that this is the exact scenario of why cryptocurrencies would theoretically be good for the world, I suppose, because exactly what you're talking about. You say something that is against the government or is not in line with how things are being done. Oh, too bad you don't get to eat this. You don't get to eat this week. You don't fucking get to pay your bills, or you don't get to do this or that. Get fucked. Yep.
So it's a really good thing that we invested all that money in Hawk Tuah because now the only person that can tell us what we can and can't do will be the Hawk Tuah girl. So, anyways, all right, I guess that pretty much sums it up. You got anything else to add?
No.
All right. Well, anyways, that's the end of it. I guess stay tuned for whatever the fuck the next episode's going to be about, which I have no fucking idea. We'll see next week. We'll see. I'm sure some shit's going to happen, and I'm sure it's going to be fucking ridiculous.
Well, let's put it this way. When it comes to surprises, there's always something coming up every week.
Yeah, and that's true.
I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
We're only 8 weeks into this fucking presidency. Not even. We're like 6 or 7 weeks in. And already it's a weekly fucking thing where new shit that I can't believe they did.
It's like the shittiest circus you could imagine, and now we're just waiting for like the monkeys to start throwing knives into the audience.
Yeah, and then for the lion tamer monkey to let the fucking lion out and kill everybody.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus. Anyways, all right. Well, that'll be the end of it. We'll catch you guys on the next one.